Hello, everyone. I am Rory Paddock for picksonthepaddock.co.uk. It is 8:30 p.m. I am joined by fellow PFTP pundit Matt Polly, and we'll be previewing day number 3 of Royal Ascot's meeting. We've got plenty to get through, Matt. Obviously, the 2 major races and anything we like outside of there. If I bring up the first race we'll be looking at, it's the 340. It is the Ribblesdale Group 2 Fillies race, 1 mile 4. Currently 5-2 favourite Noon Star, 11-2 Gloria Mundi, 6-1 Divinely, Eshada 13-2, and it's 9-1 Bar. Pretty open race. Obviously, a lot of these horses haven't gone the classics route. They've avoided that sort of route, and they'd be competing in a race like this, sort of potentially as the sort of classic second string, maybe that we didn't see line up in the Oaks. Decent enough looking race. Obviously, all the major players are represented. You've got, the likes of the Gosden Yard, Ballydoyle, Sir Michael Stout trains the current favourite Varian, and so on. Thoughts?
Well, yeah, I think. Before we go any further, we were having a brief chat about the weather and the potential going, weren't we, before we came on air? So,
Yeah.
Just on a whole day's racing point of view, I think there's going to be horses declared for both possibilities here. There's going to be horses declared for the firm ground that we've had in the first 2 days, and there's going to be horses that have been declared for in the hope that there's some rain. So we're in the lap of the gods to a certain point, aren't we, as to what the weather?
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of give viewers a bit of a rundown. Currently, as it stands, according to the Met Office, there is rain falling at Ascot now. Quite heavy rain. It's just gone 8:30, and that's set to be like that for a couple of hours. Then nothing again until the morning, when it's meant to be light rain throughout the morning into early afternoon. Overnight, temperatures are going to be around 18, 19 degrees. It's whether or not the deluge we're about to have isn't just evaporated overnight. That's the sort of the umming and ahhing situation as it stands now. You and I, obviously, we're not Michael Fish. Not too sure how it's going to play out, but I know I'm doing a rain dance for a horse later on, but equally there'll be horses that I know won't want it. So 50-50.
Yeah.
Like you said, approach with a bit of caution, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be plenty of non-runners, I think, based on what we do get. But going back to the Ribblesdale, it is a competitive looking race. I mean, probably competitive enough to make me think that Noon Star is a bit short potentially. I don't know what.
Yeah, 5-2 looks a bit too skinny for me as well.
Yeah, I've got 5-2 as well. I don't think there's an awful lot between some of these, and they haven't had many runs between them, so something could take a real step forward here. So I think Noon Star I'd happily take on. The one horse I do like in this is Roger Varian's Eshada, but I noticed that's drifting slightly, and potentially that might be, possibly this horse may have a stamina doubt, but she has won over a mile and a quarter at Newbury with some cut in the ground, and she won on very soft ground as a 2-year-old at Nottingham, and the horse she beat that day is Quenelle Dore, who has been an impressive winner so far this season, and the horse she beat so far this season, which she beat in May, Gloria Monday. They reoppose, don't they? And obviously they're fairly similar prices in the market, but I can't see why Eshada shouldn't confirm that form at all. I think they're both nice progressive fillies, but Eshada's drawn wide 11. I mean, does that really matter over a mile and a half?
No, I can't see it. I can't see it playing a factor like it has done on the straight course today.
So so on that basis, I think she's done nothing wrong. She's 2 from 2. I think she's by Muhara, which would maybe slight stamina doubts, but she has. If she's won over a mile on soft ground as a 2-year-old and then with some cut again at Newbury over a mile and a quarter, I can't really see it's going to be stamina is going to be an issue for her. And Yeah, out of all of those, she's the one I like. Another horse I just mentioned before you have your say. I think Loving Dream is overpriced at a big price. She ran really well against Noon Star at Wetherby, which is a relatively flat, sharp track, and she stuck on really well that day to finish second. I really liked her for the Oaks trial at Lingfield. She possibly didn't handle the track that day, which is maybe why they swerved Epsom. They've come back here on a flat track, and and I think a good test at 1.5 miles could be right up her street. And I
Yeah, it was
think
well fancied last time as well.
yeah,
Currently
absolutely.
33 to
I
1.
fancied it last time. I thought she'd near enough win that, and she was disappointing. But I don't think she should be given up on. And I think obviously, I'd back Ashada to win, but I certainly wouldn't put anyone off having a small dabble each way on Loving Dream, who I think is much better than she's shown at Lingfield last time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's one of those I'm happy to take on the favourite. I think Ashada, your selection makes obvious sense. Unbeaten in 2 runs, had a handful of leads behind it last time as well. Bear in mind, it was its comeback run as well that day, so you'd expect it to improve regardless, just on a sort of fitness, blowing away the cobweb sort of aspects. She didn't really sort of demolish the opposition that day, but she did what she needed to do. I think the sort of first 3-4 were only a couple of lengths separating them. I'm actually going to take one out of Ashada's race that she won. And it's Twisted Reality. It's the Rafe Beckett horse. It's attracted a bit of support in the market. I think it's been backed in from 14s. It touched 17 to 2, but it's now back out to 9s. One of her only races, a 2-year-old, was a bit disappointing, was well fancied, was 4 to 1 on reappearance when losing to Ashada at Newbury. But like I said, she wasn't miles behind. She was 4th, yes, but only 2.5 lengths behind the winner. The 3 that finished in front of her that day, Aristia, Curia Monday, and Ashada, all reoppose. And I can see, all right, maybe not Astaria, Aristia. It seems that's been shot. It's 33 to 1 in the betting. But between Twisted Reality, Ashada, and Gloria Monday, I think you could potentially see them sort of reverse bits of form together there. 2 of those 3 that finished ahead of Twisted Reality had the benefit of a run that season. Gloria Monday and Aristia being the 2. So I think Twisted Reality, same with Ashada, both should improve for that sort of reappearance. And I just think that Ray Beckett's horse is crying out for this longer trip. She gets it here. And I'm more than happy to grab 9 to 1 for an each way punt.
Yeah, just to add to that, Rory, quite interestingly, I think when she finished 4th that day, between the 2 that are ahead of her in the market now, she was 4 to 1 that day to win that listed race, and the winner was 18s, and the second Gloria Monday was 16. So she's obviously
she was well fancied that day. I'm hoping it was just a bit of a blip, really. But
she's obviously been showing plenty, and she could definitely step up for this step up in trip. That's for sure.
I know. I mean, to be honest with you, it sounds a bit boring, but I can't. All right, the favourite's the favourite. Fine, fair enough. Okay. Yes, you've got to respect what Frankie's riding as well. But aside from that, I genuinely can't see the obvious bets not being yours and mine as an each way play. Especially now. All right, yours are taking a bit of a drift to make it more of an attractive proposition now. But yeah, I'm happy with mine at 9 to 1. I'll. It's been supported in the betting as well. Moving on, obviously, big race of the day is the one after, which is the 4:15. Weirdly, and I don't know why they've done this, all the other races, the big races throughout the 5 days, were all at 4:20. Why the Gold Cup needs to be the 4:15? I know it's an extra bit of distance, but let's be honest, whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's the OCD in me, but it is the Gold Cup.
It doesn't. It doesn't clash with a cellar at Catterick or somewhere, does it?
Oh, well, heaven forbid it did, you know what I mean? Obviously, the 2 mile 4 furlong event, Gold Cup, Stradivarius aiming to make history, adding another Gold Cup to its name. I think it was around 8 to 11, but it has drifted. It's now 6 to 5. It's odds against. Would you be worried about
that? I think the only reason for that drift is the potential rain. That's the only thing I can think of, because we all know that he's better on a sounder surface. He's got form on soft. I think most of his disappointing runs have come at the end of a long, hard season, and in the autumn when the ground is probably softer than it would be as a summer soft ground, if that makes sense. So, I think midsummer soft ground when he's fresh wouldn't be as big an issue as if he'd had a long season in the autumn and it was soft. But his worst performances have come around that time when the ground is a bit deeper. Whether it's going to get as soft as that, I doubt very much. But
yeah, I mean, I can't see it being any worse than good to soft. It's definitely got to have good in it. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be anything too drastic if it does, even if it does get in.
That's the only reason I can see the slight drift. Like I can't see Ascot at the moment. You said there's a heavy shower. Perhaps people who live nearer to Ascot have got access to pictures from Ascot. That might be why he's drifting marginally. But no, I mean, you can't. How can you knock a horse that's done what he's done? I mean, I took Batash on, eventually got it right in the King's Stand. Stradivarius is another horse where you just think to yourself, can he keep pulling it out of the bag? But he's already had a prep run this season. He won that well enough. He's been here and done it. He's got that dangerous mixture of speed and stamina where he just uses that kick 2 furlongs out, which a lot of these stayers don't have, and that's ultimately why he's so successful, because he does stay this extreme distance, but he's got that turn of foot. And when you scan through the card, you're really scratching your head for alternatives from a win point of view. There's plenty of horses in there that are each way prices, but you could pick 3 of these and they might not finish in the frame.
I mean, it's one of those, like, you as punters, you try and look for an alternative angle. You try, but sometimes there isn't, because there isn't. Do you know what I mean? Stradivarius has been here. It's done it. It's got the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Frankie on board, jockey in form, yard in form. It knows what to do to win this. It's a class act. What more do you know what I mean? Sometimes it is all right. Races aren't run on paper, but everything points towards a horse winning, because more than likely the horse wins.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have even said Trueshan might have been an each way bet, but at 4 to 1, that has been smashed in now. You're not going to get a price there.
And he'll need, and that might be on the basis that it's raining or going to rain, because he'll definitely need some cut in the ground for sure.
Yeah.
So if you're a big punter and you wanted to have a lumpy bet on Stradivarius, you'd definitely be waiting until 4 o'clock just to make sure that the ground is suitable. And if he's still around the even money mark, then that would possibly be tempting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if the horse lines up, I can't see it being the price it is now, 6 to 5.
No,
come 4 o'clock.
Especially if it's still on the quick side.
Yeah. I mean, if you had to be pushed for an alternative, I think personally I'd probably sway towards Santiago as an each way bet, pretty consistent type. Who could potentially finish in the first 4 if a bookie's giving those. Princess Zoe, a bit of a weird one. It was a Group 1 winner in the native France, but now with Anthony Mullins, and has been a bit woeful the last 2 starts.
Well, she improved out of all recognition last year. Ended up winning the Prix de Cadran off the top of my head, which is 2.5 mile race in an absolute bog. It was absolutely desperate, and all she did that day was stay. I think she got up close home that day. I mean, it's going to have to absolutely pour down, I think, for her to feature. like I said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of these didn't run. If they don't get any rain, then I could imagine that possibly. I think they'll probably take a chance with True Shan, but I could see a couple of these coming out. Princess Zoe, but there's only one Gold Cup, isn't there? And obviously horse welfare is key, but you might as well have if you've got a fit, sounding, healthy horse.
Yeah,
you might as well have a crack. Like from a Princess Zoe point of view, you might as well have a dab at it.
Yeah. I mean, you've got nothing's expected, so nothing's lost. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So it only comes around once a year. Interestingly, Nayef Rhodes chased Stradivarius home a few times, and he's 80-1 currently. He would want firm on the faster side, which possibly.
I mean, he's drifted like a win is nowhere near 33s now out to 80s, but again, that's probably because of the weather.
Yeah, he got bogged down at Sandown last time in really heavy ground. I'd ignore that run, but let's not forget we've got a Derby winner in here.
I know,
Derby winner at 14-1. I mean, have we ever seen the like?
I know, it's a weird one, isn't it?
Well,
anyone would be happy to own a Derby winner, of course, but
if ever a horse,
oddest Derby winner,
I mean, you can only imagine this horse is going to be sire and Albert Bartlett winners sometime in the near future. We've been having Cheltenham Festival winners, no doubt. I mean, you can ignore his first run. I think that was over a mile and a quarter on heavy ground. Wouldn't have suited even. I mean, it was a woeful effort, despite the fact from a Derby winner, it was a woeful effort, despite the fact it was an inadequate trip on probably ground too soft. It was woeful, and I mean, who are we to question Coolmore? But they've run out of ideas with this horse, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm surprised they've kept it in training.
Yeah,
you've seen better horses go to stud after their 3-year-old career.
Yeah, I mean, he ran out Cane Yark. I don't want to be over harsh on him.
Yeah,
he's obviously a very decent horse, but I don't know who dreamt up the Gold Cup for this horse. But
I mean, if he rolls and wins, it's an absolute masterstroke. But I wouldn't even touch it with your money, Christ.
Yeah, so I mean, it adds a bit of spice to it, if nothing else, doesn't it? A Derby winner the Gold Cup, but all things being equal, if it's no worse than good to soft, Stradivarius wins. If there's a biblical amount of rain, then I wouldn't be surprised if there's a shock. But which horse is going to produce that shock? Subjectivist. There's no mug, is he? He's won on soft ground as well, so he won't mind if it rains. But I'm going to stick with Stradivarius purely on the basis that it's going to be no worse than good to soft, because he's just too good, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's boring, it's obvious, but it is Stradivarius, isn't it? Obviously, those are the two sort of major races of the day. Away from those two, Matt, your bet of the day, you were really unfortunate today with Astro. Was it Astro King? Astro King,
yeah.
Astro King, Sod's Law, when it came to the draw today, the first sort of handful of races, everyone was banging on about needing a bigger draw. And then Sod's Law prevailed, and we ended up with everything drawn on the far side, scooping the pot.
He managed to beat 28 horses, but that still wasn't good enough, unfortunately.
No.
I'm convinced that horse jumped in on the bend, that winner. I'll have a Sturt's inquiry, but the way it won. But anyway, we
hopefully for one better tomorrow, mate.
Yeah, so I'm going. I mean, all the races at Royal Ascot are ultra competitive, aren't they? So you're gonna have to dip your toe in the water. I've gone for the 5:35, which is the King George, the 5th handicap over a mile and a half. It's always a competitive race. There's loads of improving 3-year-olds in this. It's pretty much stays Britannia. We've got the Britannia as well, haven't we? Which is over the mile.
Yeah.
This is for 3-year-olds as well, over a mile and a half. And I'm going to bang on about the ground again. Unfortunately, I really like 2 horses in this, and I've had to make a decision based on what I think the ground is going to be. And I've gone for Surefire for Ralph Beckett, and he's got he hasn't got the best draw in the world, but I think he'll be dropped in anyway, probably mid-division. So I think Hector Crouch will take a pull and try and drop him in midfield. He's a fantastic looking horse. If anyone gets the chance to see his win at Leicester, he's a great, big, imposing horse, and you can only imagine, for a 3-year-old, I'm surprised he ran as a 2-year-old actually, but you can only imagine he's going to strengthen up and improve. And that was over 1.25 miles on quick ground that day, and he only really got, he won 3 lengths, and he only really started galloping when he crossed the winning line. So this 1.5 miles is going to be right up his street. That was only 10 days ago. He's quite well in, based on the fact that he's just got a £6 penalty for that. I think he'd have got a lot more if it was reassessed. So Surefire, he just looks like a really nice horse, and like I said, a slight concern about the draw because he is quite wide. The other horse that did tempt me, I'm not gonna have two choices in this because obviously I've napped of Surefire, but Tash Can of Brian Ellison's is really interesting. There's been some money for it. Again, I think it's probably based on the fact that there might be some rain. And this is an ex-Irish horse who looks like he's on a steep upward curve since he joined Brian Ellison. He absolutely bolted up last time. I think the step up in trip is going to be a massive positive for him. But I've had to nail my colours to the mast. I've gone for Surefire in the hope that the ground stays on the quick side. But just a little mention for Tash Can, if it does rain heavily, and it could get into the ground by 5:30, couldn't it?
It has been smashed in the betting. 25 now into 11-1 best price.
Yeah. So I think that horse has got he's drawn 1 as well, so he can sit where he wants to sit. He can get whatever position he wants to get. So I'm a massive fan of Surefire, but like I said, just a little note of warning that if it does get on the soft side, I think, we've missed the price now anyway with Tash Can, but he'll definitely go well if they're getting their toe in.
Yeah, mine comes in the race after. Again, the joys of trying to find the winner of a 2900 race, but I'm going to be doing a rain dance for this horse. Obviously, all the talk halfway through the day today was how you needed horses being drawn high, and then Sod's Law word got round, and for whatever reason, horses drawn low decided to put bait to punters' angle, and the fact this one is drawn in 3 isn't as detrimental as I thought. I know a lot of people like Boardman in this. That's been supported 12s into 9s. Same with Bedouin Story, 16s into 9s. But I'm going for one at a massive price. Again, I'm not too perturbed by the fact that this one's drawn in stall 3. The big question mark for me is the need for that rain, and I'm hoping it does get into the ground. I know it's sort of falling as we speak, and I'm hoping it does sort of like seep in. If it doesn't, it's not going to help this horse's chances. But if it arrives in time, and I think 9-year-old Raising Sand, number 6 on the card, course and distance winner for Safi Osborne and Jamie Osborne, should have a really decent chance at around 33-1. It's now below its last winning mark as a previous course and distance winner, which came on good to soft ground, that win. I'm hoping with the same conditions, a little less weight, jockey takes an allowance off. I'm happy to go with 33-1 to grab a place. If bookies are paying 6 or 7 places, I'm happy with that. A horse that absolutely loves this, loves the track here at Ascot. But it is really, really dependent on that ground. So again, I'll be outside doing a rain dance with this. Like I said, I know some people on the team are really, really hot on Boardman, but whether or not that horse can continue to progress, I know he's not done much wrong in terms of winning his last 3, but this is definitely a different opposition. Danya's a decent horse on his day, but for me, I'm going for, I think it's the oldest horse in the race at the age of 9. But you know what? Hopefully, age before beauty, as it were, and Raising Sand can do something at a price. Obviously, we've got to mention, those are our selections, but we've got to mention some of the action we've seen today. Again, Wesley Ward, well-fancied runners not getting up, not doing the business, Matt. Do you think we'll even see him saddle the winner sometime this week?
Well, I mean, if it does rain, I don't think the American horses would be that used to soft ground turf, would they? So that's probably be a negative for any further runners he's got. I mean, he's Philly ran really well in the Queen Mary. Just got beat by one of the National Hunt trainer Gavin Cromwell's 2-year-olds. And the other filly that ran really well in that was the horse that did Tory Road. The name escapes me, but that was drawn right on the far side and ended up the middle of the track. And I think that ran on to finish third. But we probably won't see her again on this side of the Atlantic. But she ran well as well. But the other horse that did Tory Road, it went quick, but got swallowed up close home. So yeah, bad day for the Ward team.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things sort of that I'll fire at you, I know that you and I both fancied Lord North. It was pulled. It didn't end up running. Love, which was Luke, who was on the show last night, his selection. I mean, it did it well enough. It showed a lot of determination, something I didn't actually think that horse had in the locker. How highly could you rate that horse?
Well, yeah, I think. I mean, I commented
that in terms of that performance. What I mean by that,
Yeah, I think you can upgrade it. I think we said plenty about Aidan O'Brien last night, that the fact that if you take St Mark's Basilica out of his team, he's been ever so slightly disappointing for a yard that's used to mopping up Group 1s left, right, and centre. But I think you can upgrade that. It was her first run since last August, wasn't it? And she did it the hard way from the front. I had one eye on the in-running betting, and I think she touched about 4.8 at one point, and I think that was probably when Daria loomed up on the outside just after the 2 pole, where Ryan had to get fairly serious. But once he got hold of her, that was never in any doubt really, because we know she stays 1.5 miles. And I think, I commented on the fact that I thought 1.25 miles would arguably be her best trip, but I think based on today, probably 1.5 miles, the way she got her head down and ground it out, probably 1.5 miles would be her ultimate, which leaves plenty of options, doesn't it? I think, King George's, and I mean, that operation are like. They could go Irish Champion Stakes, they could go Juddmonte International. I mean, the options are limitless. I think what they will do is avoid soft ground. So I think arguably that rules out the Arc potentially, which is a shame. But the world's her oyster, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, it was one of those, like you said, the fact she took 4.5 in running on the exchanges. She had enough that were travelling potentially nicer, better than her in the final closing stages, but she just did enough, and then sort of looked relatively comfortable.
Yeah.
I went against her just as you did, but I really can't knock what she did today, especially after a layoff. So hats off, fair play to her. And it's quite an interesting sort of, like you said, she's got that many different avenues she could go down. It will be quite interesting how she's campaigned, whether or not she's handled with kid gloves as well, with her having that massive absence. However, tomorrow's action, we do have our selections which I'll put on the screen now. We've got Twisted Reality and Ashada for myself and Matt. Both of us go for Stradivarius. Then our bets of the day, we have Raising Sand and Surefire later on. I've been Rory Paddock. He's been Matt Polly. Thank you for any likes, comments, and shares. And as always, good luck if you follow.